Aubade Ludwig's kit is out. He is completely different from what he was in the story. He's a Ranger Capricorn now, and he was a Leo Mage in the story. This is the stats for Summertime Assyria, Robin, and Knockwool. He looks to be a really, really interesting character. I think you can use him in like any PvP content. PvE, probably nothing unless they want to be nice and give us another Hall of Trials for us to play around with. But let's go ahead and take a look at his kit. So we have his S2, Night Green the Dawn. Let's go backwards a little bit. Increases his defense by 30%, and at the end of an ally's turn, when soul is 10 or higher, increases combat readiness of the caster by 15%. And this will scale up to 20%, so 20% CR push every time somebody moves, as long as you have 10 or more souls, which is pretty easy to have. If you're running any sort of cleave or aggro comp, you should probably have the souls. And this doesn't mean too much without seeing the rest of his kit. Let's just keep in mind that he gets 20% CR push every single turn, basically. And then his S3 dispels 2 buffs from all enemies and has a 60% going up to 85 because his 10's 15, so 85%. This is one of the units we were expecting that would use Weakening Set. The 85 would go up to 100, and then you can inflict block for 2 turns and silence for 1 turn. So it's an AOE dispel 2 buff block unit. You can buff stack against him because he only dispels 2, and then the silence as well. Notably, no ignore Ephra's soul burn, so even with Weakening Set, if you get 100%, you won't be able to guarantee it. Now he also gets Dawn and a barrier scaling based off his HP for 3 turns. And then Dawn is an undispellable buff that increases the amount of souls gained by 100%. I would assume this only applies to himself. And then after attacking, has a 25% chance to inflict stun on the target for 1 turn. Weakening should probably increase to 40%. So pretty strong debuff S3. We know he has really high effectiveness base stats, and then he also has self-imprint effectiveness as well. Not a limited character. You can imprint it with his other forms as well, his base Ludwig form. And this Dawn we're going to want to keep in mind as well. Because let's go ahead and take a look at his S1, which is over here. Moonlight. So he attacks if he has Dawn and activates Light of Condemnation only once per turn during his turn, so you have to make him take a turn again. And you get 5 souls. This should be increased to 10 with Dawn. And attacks all enemies, consumes all souls, regardless of whether your attack hits, inflicting 1,000 additional damage, scaling proportional to the amount of consumed souls up to 25,000. So this is pretty crazy. We don't know exactly what the scaling is. If it's 1,000 per soul, that's 25, which isn't too hard to hit. You get 10 just from Light of Condemnation itself. And then its artifact also has some soul effects, I think. We can go jump ahead here because then we can talk about his whole kit. So he gets 10 souls at the start of the first battle. And at the end of the turn, he can get 5 souls, activating 3 times. Will Dawn affect this? I would assume that it does. It does specify the end of the turn, so this should be 30 souls total coming from this artifact, and you get another 10 just from Light of Condemnation, so it's 40 souls. That still gives you souls to play around with on your opener. So this entire kit, maybe even if it's like 40 souls that they ask for to scale up to 2,500, though I'm not sure exactly how that would work. I think 50 would be a more clean number. We'll see what they really want to work, like how many souls they want you to be using up for this, but 25,000 fixed damage is a lot. Notably, it does not specify if it hits, like regardless of miss, which I think these days means that you have to actually, oh no, it does, right here. Regardless of whether the attack hits. I was looking at the wrong spot. So yeah, it's 25,000 fixed damage, no matter what. I think this is absolutely insane for like Guild War and stuff. Maybe Arena more than Guild War, just because he gets 20%. You have to take 2 turns. You take your first turn, and then you have to take your second turn via the CR push from his S2. You get 20% per turn, so you take 5 more turns for him to move. But even, like, let's just say you're not running Weakening Set, because Weakening Set makes you lose some speed. You're probably not immediately going first. You might have, like, another opener go first. So there's a decent chance that, like, unless you run some CR pushes to go after Ludwig, he might not immediately get his turn. I think that's part of why he has such the defense from his S2, and they give him the barrier to help him survive. There's a ton of ways to use him, I think. His S3 is pretty strong. It's not ignore F-Reds, but like 2 buff dispel plus block is pretty good. You can run him as a debuffer for the block, the silence, and then the stun spamming with weakening set, 40% chance to stun. And this would apply to the AoE too. So, and you have a double chance on somebody like with Solitaria, because you hit and then activate your AoE, and you still do the fixed damage no matter what. I wonder if there's some sort of like really funny cleave setups you could run in Guild War or Arena where like you take your turn with Ludwig, do your thing, and then you just loop him around and then just have him do this 25k fixed damage regardless of when the attack hits. There's some funny anti-synergies with him. He does not work with Frieren very well unless you're cleaving, because he's going to consume all of her souls and make her very vulnerable, which I think is hilarious. Build-wise, besides the effectiveness build, you could probably just go for like a super high speed build and just look to loop around twice. I wonder if you could go like Efra's build, just to make sure he doesn't get like tagged by debuffs or something on his way to his second turn. Definitely a pretty crazy unit, and not limited as well. This artifact does want plus 30. You still at least get 10 souls though. Yeah, this is going to be pretty interesting. And we can take a quick look at the combat demo. Let's go ahead and set this to 2x speed. So you can see they went with Sigrid going first. Ludwig takes his turn, he does his thing. And then you have the AoE, like, block silence. Even with Nersiolha here, like, she cleansed her thing, but she's still silenced. And then tanking up here, Dododos got feared, he didn't get his turn. And you can see he goes into pop, do the extra attack, and then boom. Like, scales, you have scales here, so she took 1 billion damage from that. But because of like all the debuffs coming in, it doesn't like really matter that the first pop didn't do anything, because everybody is still debuffed. So they finally kill off scales, and the Dawn lasts for multiple turns. So you can see, like, he can just do it again. There's a pretty good amount of soul generation being given here. And that's soul, so the artifact applies 3 times. And you'll notice that the souls here, like... So the souls did not kick in until his turn ended. It doesn't apply to that Dawn hit, which is a little bit sad / good, depending on how you view it. But yeah, we can see here he has 21 souls, because you get the souls from the attack before the Dawn goes off. So 21 souls, and it did about 12,000. 12.5, let's say. We can see how much the actual Dawn base hit does. So yeah, about like 12.5. So I think you're looking for about 40 souls for your max damage, which is about what we expected. 40 souls for your max damage, maybe like, yeah, somewhere between 40 and 50. You could probably figure it out if you look like super closely at this. The scaling isn't exactly just 1,000 per soul. You definitely do need quite a bit of souls, and like I mentioned earlier, you get enough from his artifact plus his kit. The Dawn attack, extra attack, Light of Condemnation gives 10. His artifact gives you 30 on your first... Well, it will give you 20, I think, on your first 2 turns, because your extra one wouldn't proc until your turn ends. But another, like your other units, your openers, will give you souls and stuff, so definitely a pretty strong unit. You might need like Attack of Hell's Mage or something in order to properly get your max damage share. Could be a little bit hard to use in Guild War. Let's see if they decide to show us like a full damage pop here. Oh yeah, we got the Brigida coming in. And let's see it. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So, good luck rolling him.